ROI depends on the objective. There's roughly 3 objectives. Brand objectives. What do you think of when you think of soap? Which brand? Intent objectives. When you are going to the store, what do you intend to buy, which soap? And then actual purchase objectives. I went to the store and bought Ivory soap. So we have solutions and for all marketers that need to focus across those 3 different things. In the first bucket, you're trying to use, which is brand surveys. What is the return on investment to convince people to have a different opinion of me? And the best way to do that is through survey technology that's been around for a while, and there's multiple companies and different ways to go do that. The results are extreme. What we have seen is that premium content, online video with TV commercial ads inside of them can increase brand recall and effectiveness, in the triple-digit % range. That's a big lift for any metric, right? That's brand awareness, top of the funnel. The intent, the ability to configure a car on a website is something we once did. And what we found with that is that a return on investment where you can place your ads in TV, believe it or not, and in online together gives you a much better likelihood of driving purchase intent. And what we find is that online video and driving purchase intent, which is typically measured by actual observations of people doing things, we can get lift in the double-digit percentages, 50%. The last component is the sales. And the way we do that is we actually show impressions to some people. We don't show impressions to like people. So 2 groups of people, they both look alike, some get the ad, some don't, and then we track what they purchase the entire time through the marketing campaign. Before the ads are shown, while the ads are shown, after the ads are flighted, and we measure the difference in purchasing between those 2 groups. And we see the true impact of just marketing to one group, no marketing to the other, and the change in actual sales behavior at the offline sales checkout counter level. The ROI we're seeing from that is multiple, triple to 4-digit type returns on investment.
Why is that, do you think?
The engagement that people have in sight, sound, and motion creative has been shown to drive sales historically the best of any creative format. That's why TV has the largest single medium spend in the world. About 40% of all media is spent in TV. So I think the reason the results are so good is that we're using TV, sight, sound, and motion creative, to sell these goods that are sold not directly but through others. I have to go to a dealership, I have to go to a grocery store to buy these goods. I don't buy them direct from the person who makes them. And therefore, TV is a very powerful medium. The second thing I think that makes this work so well is that the content on the computer and the fact that we're so close to a computer and a device watching this, our engagement factor is pretty spot on. When I'm sitting 13 feet back from a TV and I'm with my children and my wife, there are opportunities for distraction. But when I'm sitting one-on-one with a computer and I'm watching a piece of premium video content, my engagement, I would argue, is much more focused. Now, we need to prove and show that there's a significant difference between watching television-like content with one person versus multiple people on a screen that's 15 feet away versus one that's 18 inches away. But these are my hypotheses as to why they work. And what we want to do is prove it by getting the data across all of them. So what we found, a couple different things, and Comcast is the one who really educated me with this research, where they looked at people who just watch TV and that's it. They don't use any other devices for consuming sight, sound, and motion content. And they spend, on average, United States, 5+ hours a day watching TV, believe it or not. That's like roughly the average. They then looked at people who not only watch TV, they're all Comcast subscribers and customers, but also watch TV or video on non-television sets, the mobile device, the tablet, the personal computer. And they found, and the reason they know this, of course, is because they're an internet service provider, and they're also a cable television provider, so they can see people watching TV and people consuming non-television internet content. And they have all the data associated with it. It's their proprietary data. They don't release any information, But if you look at the aggregated whole, people who watch TV and video on multiple devices watch more total TV than people who just watch TV alone. So there was this concept and a fear and a hypothesis that with device proliferation and fragmentation, that the TV would be watched less. I'm not going to watch TV as much because I've got all these other devices to watch my TV. I'm already watching 5 hours. I'm not going to watch any more TV. I'm going to take away my living room television time, some of my 5 hours, and give it to my mobile phone. We're finding just the opposite. I'm consuming content on my mobile phone. My hypothesis is I'm so engaged and in love with great content, and I have more time to see it, that now I'm actually, and this is a fascinating stat, 50% of all US internet users have at least one time started a television quality program on a PDA smart device and finished it on their living room television screen. Half of our internet users in the United States of America. Wow. So that's what's happening. I'm getting access, I'm getting engaged when I'm not near the TV, and then I'm using my precious time in front of the, when I have chance, the TV to do it. It's encouraging my television usage. I'm using it more. It's not cannibalizing. And that's a huge insight. So what's going to happen? More media, more consumption time, more opportunities for advertising, more chances for publishers to monetize their content. So in the short term, we believe in something called the golden rule, which is the person with the goal makes all the rules. So as you find in a lot of places, let the decision maker decide what they care about. Procter & Gamble has a different philosophy than Unilever, than Ford, than General Motors, than Honda, than Chrysler, than Philip Morris. Great. Enable all of it. You like this data? You don't like that data. You want this data? You want that data. It's your call. We call it agnostic to data providing. Now, what we do is we take all that data from multiple providers and we score it against everyone else. And when people ask us our opinions, we share with them the correlation of the data. We educate them. And what we're trying to do is not force the horse to drink the water. We're just leading him to it. So we're letting the marketers, the golden rule, decide what they want. And then we're using education to say, that's great, no problem. By the way, did you realize that these were available? And did you realize that these are other things that you can do? And did you realize that given your objectives and what you said, these are 5 other areas we can go? And what we're finding is that people are becoming more and more comfortable and starting to buy into the different aspects of data. But it's an education process, and it is massively confusing. And no one's data is exactly the same. There is a lack, like we have in the offline world, where people have had 4 or 5 different data sets from different sources combined and collaborated for decades, and direct mail business has done that. We in the convergence world are still getting our hands around all of that data to give it that same level of fidelity and consistency. And when that happens, I think it'll take a couple of years for the industry just to work through it. It's just literally, it takes years to get all the data together. I think the marketers will start to set themselves up against, bucketed vertical standards. I want the automotive data set. Well, that's by Polk, because Polk has established themselves as the automotive data guys. I want the consumer packaged good data set. Well, that's going to be, depending on the country, it could be dunnhumby, it could be a Shopcom, and all these different things. So I think eventually what will happen is verticalized data providers will come out as being niche or great providers in their own niches. And right now, you're just seeing more of a free-for-all where everyone's just trying to get data from wherever they can. Operators have great data. They're very sensitive with their privacy policies. It's going to take a long time to get that out there, but it's pretty critical. If cookies go away and there's no cookies out there, then the people who really understand who is on the other side of the media conversation are the operators, the MSOs, the telecommunications players. All those folks who have the subscriptions, as we were talking about before, are the ones who really have the data. So from an industry perspective, if we can, and we're trying to help them figure out a way to get through all the privacy compliance things, that's a big focus for us, because you have to take the single highest road of privacy. There's no other way to go but ultimate platinum, beyond reproach privacy standards. And if we can get them all comfortable in their legal departments and their business departments and bring that data to light, we will have the equivalent of what the direct mail industry has globally, which is a really high fidelity database of people to market to, and an efficiency that is unknown to TV or sight sound and motion video multi-device. And that's gonna be awesome. I think it'll take us 5 to 10 years to do that though. It's a fact. This is not a pitch that it's all about audience, because it's not. Context matters a ton. So let's all work together, put context and data and audience in the same thing, and figure out how we drive great return for marketers. And if we do, the publishers will be able to be paid more for what they do, and all of us as an ecosystem will rise. And that is the power of one-to-one addressability.